Hey, people. I was attacked a couple movies ago by Maximilian, and I had to give it a like because anybody who speaks their mind, you got to appreciate that. But he says, I'm honestly convinced that you have no clue what you're talking about. Either that or you're doing what the Greeks and Spaniards did with making your own language to fit the narrative. And so Max has very poor math skills. Before I started studying the language, I added it up first. I did my math, and the math says that something was wrong with the language. I needed to look into it. So I told you all this before, that like much biblical Hebrew punctuation, the meaning of the Pesach is not known. Not even that, but they don't even know what to call this. They don't know how to pronounce it. And so in this movie, I'm going to prove to you that all these ancient rabbis, not only did they not know how to read the Hebrew, they couldn't read the Greek either, because I found a line in the Greek that totally explains the punctuation here. And not only that, but I caught the NIH, spreading lies again. They say that the etymology of the word condom is said to have been named after this doctor. Oh, Dr. Condom. And that's a total lie, because it actually come more from this word of condus. And it's a singular accusative form of person who stores, or better yet, I put together, I build, fashion, construct, to store, to put away, or to store treasure, to conceal, to hide the secret. So I found these writings in Jeremiah 18:18, the plot against Jeremiah. And they said, come and let us devise against Jeremiah plans, for naught shall perish the law from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. Come and let us attack him with the tongue. And so attack with the tongue is when Q blessing. Hey, let's have a blessing over this food here and attack him with the tongue. And not let us give heed to any of his words. And give heed, Yahweh, to me, and listen to the voice of those who contend with me. And here it is in 20. Shall be repaid for good evil, and for they have dug a pit for my life. Remember that I stood before you to speak for them good, to turn away your wrath from them. So I was looking at that word liability when I run into this. I didn't want to go into Genesis 2 yet, because a lot of y'all still weren't going to believe what it says. But this, they have dug a pit. It comes up again. But here, is Sue, H-E, Sue, U-H-E-L, the Helen Fishy. But it comes up again down lower here. And you totally tell that they're trying to hide, and a pit to take me is you, Sue, you hell, H-E-L-L, the hell, Sue to hell could in. Go to hell is what it says. They couldn't say that. But this up here is the code, the good to turn away your wrath from them. And so turn away, you look over here in the Greek, the same line, 18:20, and for them good, and they give these numbers because they don't want you reading it like this. They want you reading this good for them. But to turn is apostrophe. And that's what I tell you that the apostrophe means in the Greek. And you don't see it here. They removed all the punctuation. You see it here in the Septuagint. And this word apostrophe starts with an apostrophe right on top of it. And it's the apostrophe say. And what's the apostrophe say? Is it says to turn. And so when it's turned this way on top of it, it tells you to read this word backwards first. And then this way, to turn away. And that's what apostrophe means, to turn away. You see it right here, to turn, the apostrophe. It's actually the apostrophe. So you don't see it here, but what it says is, AFS, APS or AFS, of search, to insert, OP or OF, insert of apostrophe. So when you insert the apostrophe, what it says is to turn. And that's opposing is away, and away and strafes. And so strafe is kind of to turn sideways and get the hell out of there when somebody's shooting at you. Keep your eye on the gun, but, turn back the other way. When you're on stage and they start throwing tomatoes, that's when apostrophe is. Time to get the hell out. We'll click on this number and we'll see, that here it is, apostrophes is the base of that word. And so, they always say cata means according to, down, against, and according to. Down means under the category, is the gory underneath the heading. The cata is the heading, the gory underneath it, according to. So the cata was the word on top. And according to, force upon. So what of a say? And so knowledge, that's the Greek for babble, which they say means confusion. The knowledge, lala. Appear what on a gather to. And a gather, that's this letter here is the ash, the serpent. And you'll see in the Hebrew, ash, they'll say means to gather, and that's where that's coming from. It's the same as this letter here, this tet, which was the serpent. It's a serpent in the shape of a basket, and he's got to gather, to twist, surround, to gather, and gather to. Away strips, the strips are these strips of letters, and away strips say it on. The doom, T or D, the doom on, you're arranged. The doom on, so wap, W-A-P. That's the word for the Italians, wap. The wap oughtn't. And so they doing this so the wap couldn't read it, is what it says. But hidden over here, this word that they didn't give a meaning, T-O-V, tov. And according to force upon, so tav, lala, say. And we look back here in the Hebrew, the good, to turn away. That's tav right there. And it's the base word for good that comes up in Genesis 1:4, the tav, and that it was good to see tav. And it means the or, the light to sit of, and light is knowledge, and that's what the A means, the knowledge, where, W-R, the knowledge connect first is tav. And so with this tav here, it means, read this backwards, be in width of. You got to get the whole width of the word, because the word is a B-U-T-U-V, in width of. And, let of, they usually say this is the word, and the speak is the amar, and let of her holy them, all of them, to be less, to less of at. And so when you're reading here, you're reading it the less of attack. Attack, and that's what I call this, is attack. That's what I learned in the Navy. We call this attack. And to the less of, it doesn't take as many letters when you turn away from the center of a word. And the less of attacked, attacked them, and then H-M, come, to come at, and attacked them, to come at. And so it's a good idea you sneak up behind your enemy when you attack, and the less of attack 'em, to come tack from them. And that's one of the few words they get right. The from is just the M in the front of a word. The them is the THE and an M, from them. It's ancient English. There's no such thing as ancient Greek or ancient Hebrew. It's all ancient English written in this code. And you look in a little deeper here, and it comes after this line here where this whole thing is already turned around and read backwards. It read up to here, and this is like the tack. You read this whole thing backwards before you come over here. But when you get here, it says a middle upon caldiver, the middle upon caldiver. So when you have a word that has a middle, as in width of, B-U-T-U-V, in width of, the middle upon caldiver, and you write that word from the middle, you're carving in stone, and instead of having to carve 7 letters, K-T-M-H-M-T-K, you only have to carve this little tack, boop, and that takes the place of 3 letters. Takes the place of 3 letters there. To attack them, come the tack from them. And so that's what this is a tack. And so the Navy had it right. And these Hebrew rabbis don't have a clue how to read either one of these languages. Not even 2,000 years ago. And so as to this condom, it's to hide the secrets away. They said it's here. You don't see it. You see it more clearly it's in code. And you can see in the Hebrew too, where they twisted this up. Because the Zachar come on the first day and he made them male. Zachar. So here in the Greek, if we start again this line, it's high on top of a ditto. The same. Me too. Ditto. And high on top of ditto to make. The same to make, anti for, to replacement of. On a dawn, this G, after the A, the same as the word angel is spelt with 2 G's, A-G-G. But the G following the A actually becomes the N. It's on a dawn, to put on a cock. And high on top of ditto, the same as me too, to make for on a dawn a cock. Audi, what you should, sin together. The word for the second day, the sin, the sink. You have to have more than one to sink together. Sin. The sin all is on. And so that's what it's saying is what you oughta, on a dawn, a cock, what you oughta did when sin all is on. And so the condom is what it's trying to say. All these words, it's just hiding the secrets. The condom, which means to hide the secrets. And that's what this is about. And to hide the secrets, Ramah too. You see that Ramah, that's Amar backwards. Amar meaning, and he said, word, verb. Anytime you speak, the ancient word for that was verb. The spoken word was a verb, Amar. But that's because the Hebrews read it backwards. They try to say that Hebrew is backwards Latin or backwards English. No, it's because they're reading it backwards. It's all the same language. The Rama too, it's not just things. They say everything that has to do with the writings in Egypt, they just called things because it was all pictures of things that had meanings. And that's where that comes from, is the base word of the Rama too. It means word, saying, statement, phrase, a sentence, verb, Rama. And the Rama too, the word too, Kata, to cater this, the word to cater this. Such is move. And, remember is the word they give Zachar over there in the Hebrew, and it's the men has that. The men has that. That was Zachar. And so the men has that, the gestic, as in majestic. The men has that gestic, my standing. et as move, according to force upon, so Tav, Lala say, the Babel say, appear what on, and Anada. Anada is a wine from a grape harvest of a certain particularly good year, a good year, Anada. Anada. And so that's possibly another Tav, apostrophe say, or away strips to say it on, the doom on, so wop oughtn't. And so you'll see this word with the same markings in Genesis 3. And it's right there when you shouldn't eat of the fruit of that tree. And they got it all twisted up here. They want you to read this evil and then be recomposed for good. And they totally twist it around because it plainly says, the good for evil. And see it better here in the Hebrew, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so every movie I make, I go back and watch it. And I always learn something. I know I'll learn a bunch on this. I seen I missed a lot just while making it. But this movie here, this last one I posted, don't miss it. And it shows the different level of reading of the Hebrew and how the reading goes. And I went back and watched it, and I didn't catch anything. It was very thorough. And so don't miss it. But this Jeremiah 18, it starts the story of the potter and the clay. And it's not what it says. But let me read a couple lines of this for you and show you some stuff. And this is had ever a sure eye, and don't miss nothing, sees it all. Old Jeremiah, and it all rhymes in here, you can't miss it. Whom at you a lammer, and a lammer is to say a lot more. You see, like I look at a word and I keep looking into it and find all the meanings. A lammer. And come the word it vite, and was invited, and come word it vite, who whatser was'em, and so that's what you say. Oh, what's his name? They whatser was'em, zum, the name. They usually say that is invite who whatser was'em, whoever it was, and has 'em joke at every word. Has 'em joke at every word. And so this word, I will cause you to hear, well, and has 'em a joke. You're going to have to listen to this. But, I'm telling you about these markings and these reading directions, and I can show the evidence all day long. I tell you that these A words read backwards the second time you read it. You read this A word backwards. And it's so, they, whatser, was'em, echo. The echo, so. And the echo is your Greek word for, and cause you to hear. A joke will cause you to hear, but also an echo. It means the people are talking, is what you heard. It means I didn't see it for myself, it was an echo. You see it right over here in the Greek again, and you shall hear because of an echo. It's where your word accuse, accusate, all that come from. It means you didn't see it yourself. It's what you heard. But I'm going to cut this off here, and don't miss this movie. It proves my point on the Hebrew reading directions, and it's very thorough. And I watched it 2-3 times, and I'm still not catching anything else from it. All right, good day.
I am the Antichrist, and I approve of this message.